What's going on, guys, and welcome to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Raptors getting the fourth overall draft pick in this year's draft. And this is amazing for them because they were targeted to get the seventh to eighth pick. I did my draft simulation yesterday, and we saw that most of the time they got the seventh pick or the eighth pick. They end up landing in that top four, and I don't know about you guys, but how hyped I was during it. I was like, oh my god, come on, baby, come on. And they actually did it. And making that top four, obviously, you're excited with anticipation to think that potentially they could get the number one at that point. But falling fourth isn't bad. I see a lot of fans reacting negatively because maybe they got their hopes up given that they didn't get the seventh or eighth pick. But I still think this is amazing for the franchise, and there's a lot of options for them. And today I'm going to weigh out some of those options for you, talk about three potential things the Raptors could do with this pick, and really give insights into why they would choose each direction given where the franchise is at, the players that they have, and the core nucleus, and trying to win a championship as soon as possible. So I'm going to start with the fact that the Raptors get the fourth overall pick. The Pistons go number one, Rockets number two, Cavs were third, and then the Raptors fall fourth with a projection of Cade Cunningham getting the first pick, being the first pick, Mobley and Green being second and third in some order, and then the fourth pick being Jalen Suggs. So for the Raptors, there are three options here, right? Because Jalen Suggs is a great player, and the first thing you could do is just draft him directly, right? Jalen Suggs is a point guard at Gonzaga. He's shown the ability to play both sides of the ball as well, so he's the type of player that is going to give it on defense. He's almost the perfect replacement for Kyle Lowry, given that he's a bulldog type player. He can shoot the three, he can pass. He's really a well-rounded individual and a winner, too. Gonzaga went all the way to the finals this year, I believe, in the NCAA tournament. And a big reason why is because of his ability to run the offense. And he's already a pro-level player at that level. He is not a raw player necessarily. He's already got NBA-level skills. A lot of people are going to talk about him stepping on the toes of Malachi Flynn, potentially, because Jalen Suggs as a number 4 pick is going to obviously get number one priority over a guy like Malachi Flynn right next to Fred VanVleet. But I think there's still enough minutes out there to operate for all three of those guys, given that Lowry is likely gone via sign and trade, which sort of goes into my second potential option for them that they could do with this pick, and it's packaging it with Kyle Lowry and potentially trying to put together some kind of package to get a different player, maybe an all-star level player. I'm going to tell you who I'm thinking in a minute, but the reason you want to do something like this is to accelerate the rebuild, right? Maybe you don't want a project player, a 21-year-old on the roster, next to guys like OG and Gary Trent who are already pretty young, and given the fact that we've got a core in players like Fred VanVleet and Siakam, these guys are ready to win now. They've been to the finals. They've won a title. They've been to the conference finals. Like, these guys have been there, done that. They don't want to go through another rebuild. And so maybe you'd want to put together a package to make a trade for, I'm going to put out this trade, all right? I'm going to tell you directly what I'm thinking. You know, maybe you're thinking Bradley Beal. You're thinking other guys who could be available, Karl Anthony Towns. Maybe you could package stuff together for him. I don't know what their status is there, but pursuing him is a good idea. But actually a realistic trade that could happen would be Kyle Lowry and the fourth pick, and I've heard this a lot, for Ben Simmons. And first of all, the issue with this trade right away is that the fit of Ben Simmons and Siakam together is going to be rough. There's no question about it. Ben Simmons is almost going to have to play small ball 5 as opposed to being a guard because I think his fit is going to be difficult around Siakam. But Siakam can shoot the 3. He's shown the ability to. Maybe he's working on this offseason. Maybe Ben Simmons is working on some kind of counter in the offseason. We don't know yet what's really going on there. So I think it's too early to tell whether this would work or not. And for that reason, it kind of scares me because Ben Simmons is a player who's shown that maybe he doesn't work that hard. He hasn't improved since his first year in the league. So there's a lot of concern around him as a player. And I understand that a lot, given that we saw what happened in the playoffs this year. We saw him choke. We saw him turn down a wide open dunk to pass it to Thibault in traffic. Like, these are just terrible decisions given that he's such a great passer and sees the floor so well. He's great in transition, which the Raptors love to do. And so that's why I think there is a possibility that a fit with Ben Simmons does work. A trade like Pascal Siakam 1-for-1 for Ben Simmons makes a lot more sense on paper because you're able to get that, but that doesn't really correlate directly to this draft pick. So that's why I'm not including that in this video and talking about the implications of that type of trade. But the implications of this trade is that for Philly, you get a point guard in Lowry who can run the offense. You get a fourth overall pick who you can take maybe a guy like Jalen Suggs, maybe Kuminga, maybe Scotty Barnes, a bigger guy. But let's just say they pick a guy like Suggs. He can run your offense for you. Maybe the Raptors could get a guy like Maxey back in return or Thibault to improve their defense. I think you'd want Maxey because a guy who can run the offense off the bench and really help fortify that guard position given that you're trading away Lowry in the first place. Ben Simmons already is a guard too. He can play the guard position. You can put him at like the small ball 4, small ball 5 position. He's a guy who can help guard bigs. I think against a guy like Embiid or a team like the Bucks, it would be a difficult matchup. But I think he can do that, right? He's about as limited as Giannis. At least Giannis is shooting those shots. But I think that's an interesting thing to consider. I want to hear your guys' take though. Let me know who you'd want to see the Raptors package this trade to, and which of the 3 options do you want them to do. Obviously, I still have to give you the third option, but I more want to hear your trade packages and ideas on what the Raptors can do and the reasons why. So put those in the comments. I'll be making sure to listen to them and read them all. But the final one that they can do, and this is my favorite, right? I like the idea of drafting Suggs, but I also like the idea of trying to trade up in this draft. You've already got the 4th pick. You've got teams like the Rockets and Cavaliers who have big men, and the Raptors are in desperate need of a big man, and there is a revolutionary, transcendent big man on the block in Evan Mobley you could draft. 7 feet tall plus, super long arms, great jump hook, great mid-range, potentially has the ability to shoot in his future. He just has a Chris Bosh-esque game, and he's amazing defensively too. In the pick and roll, he'll help the Raptors. No more drop coverages. You'll see him switching on bigs. You'll see him switching onto guards a little bit more. You'll maybe see some drop coverage, but those long arms give him the ability to defend the pick and roll, similar to a guy like Anthony Davis. I think he'd be an amazing fit. And so you want to try and trade up. You want to say to the Rockets, hey, we want that 2nd pick. We'll give you our 4th pick and the 2022 first-round pick that we'll have. And given that the Raptors will probably be in the playoffs next season, given they get a young player, they've got a roster that maybe can stay healthy. You trade Lowry. I think this team will be better next year. We'll have better chemistry. They'll probably be playing in Toronto as well. So my expectations are that the Raptors are at least in that 4-5 seed range. They're probably going to be as good, if not better, than the Hawks or Knicks were this year. So they're going to be in that punching range, maybe with a team like the Celtics if they make moves, and the Miami Heat if they decide to trade for maybe a guy like Lowry, for example. But let's say the Raptors trade up and give those 2 picks. You can draft Mobley. I like that idea a lot, and I think the Rockets would be content with drafting a guard in Suggs or Green at that place in the 4th overall spot. Maybe even if the Rockets take Green and decide that he's their transcendent guy, you could make a trade with the Cavs with a similar ideology. The Cavs could draft a guy like Suggs. Maybe they want to draft down because they see better players. But in Masai, we trust at the end of the day. We'll see what he decides to do. I think these are 3 amazing options. Which one do you guys like the best? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like the video and subscribe as usual. I'm going to be having daily content for you guys. So thank you for listening. Once again, I appreciate it. I got another video coming tomorrow most likely. So stay tuned on my page. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, guys.